Thank you. I call the meeting to order. Presenting years of service, Ken. Ria Elena Lara.
Wow.
Oh, Ken. Well, you've been here 20 years. I
Oh.
didn't think you quite that old.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank
You want to
Dr. Watt?
have that pie?
I have to face you. Thank you.
Thank you.
She doesn't look like she's 20 years old, does she? Next on the agenda, we have a thing to consider the act on consent agenda. You'll hear consent agenda for the minutes of the April 17th meeting and financial statement as of April 30th. Do I hear a motion?
I
No
move
mo-
it.
We won't move.
Usually do that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Well, second. Motion made and seconded to accept the consent agenda for the minutes and the financial statement of April 30th. All in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Next item on the agenda is to recognize our guests. David Mercado, Terry Doobie, Dana Garza, Aubrey Haynes, Landra Fowler, Derek Sandoval, Connie Buchanan, Wade Carpenter, April Ruman, Carlos Lopez, Brenda Hoffman, Emmanuel Zamora, Lisa Ernest, Chuck Garbedian. Have I missed anybody? Thank you all for being here. Do you have an audience to patrons?
No, sir.
Audience to patrons, we'll skip that agenda. Next, we go right to the president's report. You're up.
Yes, sir. So tech expansion, we received the bids for the request for proposals on the Chittum HVAC expansion and the Del Rio welding power line construction science portion of the tech expansion. We have those for board consideration further down in the agenda. Also, our first project under the bond project is the paving repairs. It's virtually, I would say 90% is repairing existing pavement with the exception of the new drive in front of the Solros or the Briscoe building. And that's the first of the bond project monies. Under leases, we've reached an agreement with the city, so we'll have a hangar lease for the board to consider down in the agenda. Under legislative, I had a good conversation with the governor's budget and policy directors regarding some bills that were involving property tax and granting exemptions, limiting the amount of debt service, calculating the no new revenue. They were very receptive to our concerns and we were not the focus of those bills. They're trying to, rein in cities and municipal districts, municipal utility districts, and they didn't realize that it was going to have unintended consequences on community colleges. So I think he understood and agreed to work with us in the interim between this session and next session to possibly create another tax code just specifically for community colleges. Because right now sometimes we follow the school districts, sometimes we follow the water districts or special districts. So he was open to the idea of perhaps just creating one for community colleges because a lot of times we get lumped in with some of the others and it has negative impacts on our sector.
Is TAC helping us out?
Yes. So TAC actually is the one that facilitated that meeting. I was there representing the presidents. We had 2 CFOs and we had 1 board of trustees that met with the governor's office. So it was a good meeting. The budgets, I won't spend a lot of time on the budgets other than we're going to have a detailed budget presentation here shortly. It is a balanced budget. There are no tuition and fee increases. We did have a $500,000 increase for performance funding from the state. We have incorporated a two-step salary increase for employees, 5% for vice presidents, deans, and then $500,000 to cover the employee bonus. Rodeo team, you see the list there. We have 7 members, 7 athletes of our team competing for the Nationals in Casper, Wyoming, June 14th through the 21st. And we're very proud of them, of what they've accomplished. Our women's team won first in the Southern region. Commencement ceremonies, I mean, that's tomorrow. We have 2, 4 o'clock and 7:30. And then Saturday we have 3, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. Okay. The Fairplex is nice and cool.
Good.
And that's all I have on my report, unless y'all have a specific question.
Next on the agenda is the SWTX Board of Trustees self-evaluations.
Yes, sir. So this is really a board matter. Y'all responded. There was 3 responses that we got from board members. We tabulated those to give you an idea of where the board itself feels that it's doing in certain areas. There's also an open-ended questions that are included there. We also included comparisons from going back to 2017, 2018 to give you an idea of how the ratings have changed, kind of a trend analysis there. And I think the back page is where the open-ended questions are. But this is really a time for the board to have a discussion and really, discuss any items that they want to do different as a board. So I just kind of opened that up for y'all, kind of tee it up.
Just looking at the results of our questionnaires and stuff on, there was 3 areas where we scored below 4 as far as the boards. The standard of college operations, number 2, but board understands the budget. And of course, we scored low on that. And then on institutional performance, board has a system to evaluate effectiveness of educational programs of the college. I think the last one was the board members engaged in a continuous process of training and development. So on that last one, I mean, we might maybe at some point consider, and I know we've just talked about it in the past, is having maybe somebody for the state level, TAC, or somebody do a board training of some sort. I don't think we've ever had any board training here. And of course, once again, and I would like to make sure that I go this year to the tech conference, that there's always a lot of information there. Unfortunately, one of our main person in contact there, Mr. Sarate, unfortunately is no longer with us, but he was a real good inspiration for us. And as far as the budget and the fiscal conditions and all that, maybe we need to go back to what we used to do. I know we do it to consent, but we need to decide that maybe we need to go through the budget like we used to do in the old days in the meeting to understand it a lot better and ask questions at that point in time. I thought that was okay, and if I ever had any questions on the budget, they would get answered. I know it's a little time consuming, but I think it really gives us more insight into what's going on through the budget. Didn't take that much time, I didn't think. And Ms. Ermis did a great job on that all the time. So those are kind of the things that I look at to help bump up our scores.
We'll do whatever the board wants, training, just give us feedback, what kind of training, we can see what's out there, reach out to TCC, see what kind, whether it's running a meeting, whether it's on, performance funding, you name it. I mean, we can facilitate that. And same thing with the budget or, the financial statements. you know, anytime you want to pull that out, or if you want to, you know, pull that out and not have a consent, we just don't want to read you the information that you already have.
Yeah.
So if you have questions on it, we'd be glad. Maybe we can pull something out and give you more detail on it. But I mean, whatever the board needs, we'll provide it.
I'm throwing those out for consideration, so.
Are you talking specifically the budget, Tony, or?
You know, just, remember we used to go in detail on the budget through each meeting and not page by page, but in general, kind of cover everything that was going on. And as we went along, CD rates and those questions that we had, as we covered the, financial statement. I mean,
But we still provide all that information.
yeah, you still provide it. It's just a matter of going through it with Ms. Ermis, that she did a good job of telling us what was going on, so. Anyway, it's one of our concerns there, so it might help. Sometimes we don't have the time to look at all the details and until we get to the meeting and things are brought up, so.
So what we can do is we'll work on taking different segments of our financial statement and kind of blowing them up, get into, because I mean, what you see in the financial statement, even though it's a lot of pages, it's all summary. And we can, you know, give you an in-depth on a section, and then next month we'll do another section and just kind of
That might be a wise thing to do.
give you that extra detail
In
so
that
you can-
area.
It's hard for us to give you all that detail for everything at once. I mean, we can, but it would be so much that you lose the message in it, because it's just so much. But if we focus on one or two areas each month
That's a good thought.
and give you the details, like tuition, we can give you the breakdown of how much is in district, how much is out of district, how much is non-resident, how much are fees, how much is workforce training, all that goes into that one tuition line. And how many, what are the waivers? And you know, we waive $500,000 a year. Where does that come from? Well, a big chunk of it is Hazelwood, and some of them is foster children. Some of it is X, Y, whatever. And we can give you that layer of details every meeting, give you a little bit. And this is, all these total up into this one number on the financial statement. If that would be helpful, we can certainly start. Where's Lisa? There you are. Yeah, we can start, you know, doing some of those in depth.
Sounds good enough.
It would be hard to really get to the point where you are very well versed in the entire budget. It's just so many moving pieces that it takes a CPA 3 to 5 years just to get to that level of understanding of all the intricacies involved. But that doesn't mean that we can't give you more details so you know, oh, okay, this is what's going on here. We can give you some trends analysis so you can compare to where we were at this time last year.
Yeah, and I met with Ms. Ermis one time, and she went through detail on the budget and everything else. It was very informative for me, so.
No, absolutely, we can certainly do that. And like I said, on training, you know, maybe what we'll do is I'll reach out to TACC and get a list of, you know, some of the trainings that we could do, and maybe have like a menu, and maybe y'all prioritize, and we can find a time when y'all want to have it, and I can get them down here. And once we narrow down the topic of what interests you, what you want to learn more about, and we can certainly do that.
Sounds good.
Next item on the agenda is the operating budget presentation.
Okay, Ms. Ermis will guide us through that.
I think that was a good lead-in right into my section here. Good evening, and just to piggyback on what the president said, if you look at a couple of items on the revenue, particular the revenue part of the budget, that one tuition is an entire spreadsheet, and it does break down by in-district, out-of-district, the dual credit students in district, out of district, the few that we have out of state. So the budget itself is a huge spreadsheet. The detail on the operating, it's over 200 pages. So you really can get in the weeds. So just like the president said, it's a lot of information. So we're going to start with the budget assumptions, and then I have all my detail here if you have any questions on that. So I believe it should be the very top page, and it says budget assumptions 25-26. The first and most important thing, it is a balanced budget. So that's a good thing, that revenue equals expenses. The next item is that I just talked about the tuition. We were very conservative with our revenue projection as far as tuition goes. We have a small increase. We're hoping to have a really good response with students applying to Kate's Cowboy Promise. We also added in some for the new technical programs coming online, and the workforce actually did increase. So overall, our tuition piece is $250,000 up as far as money from last year. So very conservative there. Also, as the president mentioned, we are half a $500,000 increase in our state appropriations. For the 2025-26 year, we're 18.7 million. Also on the property tax, we are budgeting the no new revenue rate, so no real large increases in the property taxes other than some estimating for the new properties. The solar farm that we had online on the tax rolls last year, it was only about, we got an estimate about 60% complete. So the rest of it should come online this year. So we did budget a little bit extra for the solar farm, but only for new properties.
How much money are we talking about, Ms. Hermes?
On the, did you
Solar
get
farm.
an estimate, Aubrey?
Close to 300,000.
Okay, okay. The next item, we did include the 2.5 for the state appropriations on the tech expansion. We asked for another $5 million in this cycle for the next 2 years. I believe President Gonzalez said that we should in here by the end of May on the.
June 2nd is the end of the session.
Okay, all right. But we're very confident that we will get the $5 million for the next 2 years. And then I believe you have a detail on our increases for the full-time salary. If you want to go over that now, or you want to come back to that. Mr. Moreno, I know you had asked for an analysis, the 5-year. So did you want to talk about the increases now, or wait until?
We can wait until we do the salary. Yeah.
Okay. And then the next item would be the 5% for the deans and vice presidents. We still have a contingency of $1 million built into the budget for anything unseen. And 500,000 of that would go to the Christmas bonus for all full-time employees, and as well as part-time employees, if our tuition target is met for the fall. We also have another 100,000, as we did last year, for institutional projects. And I did budget a little up for the income for interest due to our bond proceeds that we have at TexPool. That's the $10 million bond proceeds. We won't be needing that all at once, of course. So it's really benefiting us by racking up some nice interest for us. And then as far as operating expenses, if you compare operating expenses for this budget for 26 versus 25, it's almost the same. So we were very flat there.
Ms. Hermes, could you tell us on the 100,000 for institutional project, what projects are we talking about?
This would be anything that benefits the entire institution that wasn't in a department. We just, I'm trying to think of what we.
I think in the past, we've used it for the, what is that design group that did our,
Oh, yeah.
I designed,
iDesign.
that did our, a lot of work for our online
Online
classes.
classwork.
Redid our curriculum to standardize it across
Okay.
different, in the past, we had faculty, each faculty had a different online class for the same course. And iDesign went through and kind of standardized it. And so now everybody's using a standardized online platform or content, I guess would be better word, content. Not all the classes are there, but we did like 30 classes. more or less. The bulk of it was paid through the grant. We used some McKinsey Scott, and then we used the institutional projects. But it's projects like that, that opportunities come up or something that we didn't budget for. But it's generally, institution-wide, the impact.
So that takes us to the point that we were discussing about the salary increases, where we budgeted in this current budget two steps for so two steps, and then we were asking for 5% for the deans and the vice presidents. The two-step increase, it's basically ending up being about a 2%, but when you factor in the Christmas bonus, and for the faculty, you factor in also their years of service bonus, which that years of service bonus, that's ongoing as they hit their marks at 5, 10, 15, and 20 years. So if you'll notice on your schedule under percent with the bonus, you can see the percents for professional, for clerical, for maintenance, daycare. That is upward of 6%. It's an average of about 6.5%. Some of them are 7.5%, depending on what their salary is.
Lisa,
Yes.
go pause that and go through finish the budget presentation,
Okay.
and then we'll vote on the budget, and then we'll talk about the salaries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just to keep everything straight.
Okay, good deal. Okay, well, we'll start with the revenue. I don't know if you want to go into the detail. I do have the spreadsheet that shows the tuition breakout for the in-district, out-of-district, and dual credit. If you need to, if you want to look at that one.
Mr. Hermes, on the auxiliary, on the revenues, why do we have a decrease?
For the revenue,
Yeah. Didn't we have a decrease there or not? Or am I reading that wrong? On the second page?
116,000.
The bulk of that is the Sol Ross rental.
Oh,
oh, yes, correct.
So if you flip the page back to page 3,
page 3.
or it's labeled 3. That whole.
Oh, yeah, the
last
rental, the
group.
Oh,
auxiliary
yes, okay, yes,
enterprise, okay.
thank you.
So all those combined is that auxiliary one line. So that kind of shows you how it feeds into. And the bulk of that 200,000 is the Sol Ross space rental.
And what about the student aid? What was this?
Oh, the student aid, that's going to be an in and out. That's basically our Pell, our SEOG, any student aid. If the decrease is in the revenue, the decrease will be in the expense as well.
A lot of the student aid is based on estimates, because a lot of times when we do the budget, we don't have the actual numbers for SEOG. And the other thing that is a fluctuation there is, like Pell is an estimate based on how many students we think will qualify. So if we have 100 more students that qualify, just because we budgeted 13.5 million, if we have students that qualify, it can go up to 15 or 20 million. So it just follows the student.
Okay.
That's just our best estimate at this point. And like Lisa said, whatever we budget for student aid and also for grants, whatever we budget in revenue, we budget in expense. So it never has an impact on the bottom line. It's if we have less money from the grant, then we're going to spend less money on the grant.
Okay.
And same thing on student aid. And just like we showed you there with auxiliary, for each of these lines, so this is what I call the super summary page. You see the entire budget on one page, but there's a subtotal back here of everything that makes up instruction, academic support, and so forth.
So basically, if you look at our total tuition or our total revenue increase, you can basically reconcile that. The 1.2 million would be the 500,000 in appropriation, or 500,000 in appropriations, and then a little bit in taxes, and then in tuition. So it's not anything unknown.
Looking at a big picture at our very global, very high level financial condition, right now we have three pots of big money for tech enhancement, deferred maintenance, um, and new tech programs. So we have the $4 million from the 2.5 from the state, 1.5 from us, or yeah, $4 million for this year. We're anticipating another 2.5 for this budget year from the state on the budget, and then the year after that, another 2.5. That is going to be a total of a $10 million injection from the state for tech enhancement. Then you have the pot of money, which is the bond, $10 million, which we've identified the projects that are deferred maintenance items, some of which are going to be, we had said tech expansion or tech enhancements out of that bond, but when we did that, we weren't expecting to get another $5 million from the state. So that's going to open up the bond money to more projects. It really alleviates a lot of the pressure on the budget that we normally put in for equipment and upgrading the equipment and tech programs, because the plan is we're going to fund those with that $2.5 million. So it really is a very nice position to be in for these next 2 years, because we're going to be able to upgrade a lot of our tech, address a lot of our deferred maintenance without impacting our budget. The one thing that's here is the increase in debt service for the new bond, but really that's it. So it's really a unique opportunity. And these RFPs that we have, 2 of them are for the tech money. One of them is for the bond money. So I'll show you a spreadsheet where kind of keeping track of the 3. So that's kind of where we're at. And even if you take that out, we're sitting at $20 million in cash, which is unheard of for our institution. I mean, we haven't been, that's not counting bond money, because I know bond money, we have, 30 million, over $30 million in cash at this point. But it really presents a unique opportunity for us from a budgeting standpoint to be able to accomplish things without having to over leverage our normal operating. How we used to do it is $500,000 a year is what we've been doing in the past to address deferred maintenance and trying to catch up. And we've caught up a lot. But with this bond money, we're going to be able to catch up a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of those big ticket items that are hard to catch up 500,000 at a time.
And also, if you look at the operating budget for just the operating, not the salary piece, between budget 2026 and 25, the increase is only $51,000. So basically, our departmental and our institutional expenses, not without the salaries, just the expenses for operating, which would include the budget for any expansion on the capital, is, like I said, it only increased $51,000, just the operating part. So that shows a lot of prudence on the part of the department budgets for 2026. It's basically flat.
I look through it, and every year I look through all the detail, and I look for, the elephants. And there aren't any. You'll see, this one went up plus 30, 40,000. You see another one down 20, 30,000, but it's nothing. I mean, those are just adjustments, but there's nothing big that, normally I was like, okay, I start with the big stuff and say, okay, how can I explain this, this, and this? But when I went through my list, I couldn't find really anything major that stood out that indicated a shift one way or the other. I will share with you, this is the first year I've been hands off. She did it all.
I had help.
Really?
Crying, Aubrey.
She did it all. what you need to understand about budgets is the first time you receive budgets, it's never balanced. It's always 2 or 3 million more than what you can afford. But Lisa and her team work with the vice presidents and put this product together for us.
A lot of numbers.
Any other questions or concerns on our budget?
On the tech program expansion, where are those expansions going to be?
So-
What programs are we talking about?
Okay, so the major tech expansions that, what we did with the first $5 million from the state, the first one was the diesel here, the truck driving, and then expanding the power line. And then the second phase of that was in Eagle Pass, moving the truck driving and moving the power line, moving law enforcement. So they're all in what we call the annex, that building next to the campus. And we had to do that in preparation to expand air conditioning on the Chittenden campus because with the trucks going in and out of there, we really couldn't put anything because the trucks take up so much space. So by removing those trucks from that campus, we freed up the bulk of that campus. So now we can put buildings. So in the bids and the RFPs for board consideration tonight, one of them is to construct the air conditioning refrigeration program there in Eagle Pass. We wanted to do automotive, it was too expensive. We wanted to add welding in Del Rio, and adding welding in automotive there wasn't sufficient funds to do it. So we said HVAC there in Eagle Pass, because Eagle Pass we expanded the welding and the diesel 2 years ago. So now we have increased capacity with those two programs. We have power line, we have truck driving, and now we're going to add HVAC. Del Rio, we really just have aviation. So we wanted to add a bigger footprint for Del Rio. So we added welding, construction science, and power line to kind of balance out both campuses a little bit. So that is the end of the first $5 million that we got from the state. That's what we've been able to expand. Now, the next $5 million we get from the state, we propose to use a lot of that to not just to not focus solely on expanding new programs, but to invest it in existing programs. So make sure that they have the most current training aids. So when our students get out of the program, they're well versed in what's out in the field and not training on 10-year-old technology. So we're going to go through that process. Mr. Mondragon's kind of going through that, working with division chairs and identifying what is their wish list. We could allocate a portion of that to expand additional programs. So that's the tech pot. Out of the bond proceeds, since we have that 98% sure, it's not sure to the legislature's finished, but 98% sure we're going to have that pot of money there. It's going to free up that bond money, and I'd like to, with some of those funds that we have left over or moved over, set up a workforce training site in Crystal City. So this would be a lab facility. We have classrooms, but set up a lab facility that we can do a multiple of short courses of custom training. It could be forklift, it could be an electrician, pre-apprenticeship, it could be plumbing, it could be a construction science, and we can modify that lab. We just need the space to be able to hold them in. So I'm hoping to invest some of that money from the bonds into that area to again serve the short-term training needs, because it's difficult for us to commit to any specific tech program in a small community because it's hard to sustain it. But if we have a space that we can do multiple types of short-term training, then that might work for those smaller communities. Is we provide the service. Yeah, if they want a full-blown automotive, they're going to have to come to the campus here. But there's nothing that stops us from doing a specific course, a short course. It could be, I say short, 6 months, 3 months, 1 month. on any topics. So that's kind of the plan and the vision for how we utilize the different pots of money. Did that answer your question?
What kind of an impact is that new bridge going to have on the college?
I think
Any?
no, I think it will. I mean, obviously it'll drive the economy there. I think we're positioned very well with our truck driving program there, with our welding, and with our diesel. I think those are key programs to help support that. So, and we're positioned with the expansion that we did. We're positioned to grow those programs. We have capacity to do so. But then, in addition to that, just the overall injection of new money into the economy will help the entire college over there.
Unless the tariffs slow it all down.
We've seen what's happened with tariffs. You know, it's doom and gloom, and then in the end, they realize that they have to back off.
Well, that's the hope, at least.
That's the hope.
Mhm.
Yeah, Robert Gonzalez was, I was talking to him the other day, and he volunteered to, give us a tour of where that thing is going to be. So,
Ms. Hoffman, would you share what you shared at Cabinet regarding where the recent graduates from high school, Eagle Pass High School, where they were going to attend?
So is it on? Can you hear me?
Southwest Texas College.
Yeah, so the majority of the high school graduates from Eagle Pass
Coming here.
articulated that they're coming to us.
Mhm.
So that's a good sign.
Mhm.
It's a good sign.
It's a very good sign.
That's great.
I don't have any questions on the budget. It's a good budget.
Yep.
The bridge is going to be through my
Any other questions?
You go to number 9? You want to go to number 9 now?
We need to consider an act on 25-26 operating budget.
Mr. Chair, it's my recommendation that the board approve the 2025-2026 operating budget as presented.
We need an approval, right? A motion to
Need a
approve?
motion?
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the budget as presented.
I second.
Made, do we need a second? We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Now we need to consider an act on salary increases.
Okay, you have the sheet in front of you, the Southwest Texas College Salary Information Summary 25-26. Basically, we're asking the board to recommend 2 steps.
The additional sheets there, Mr. Moreno had asked for a breakdown on, what a percentage, what 2 steps relates to it as a percentage for each of the categories, and then also a 3-year history on the salaries for the vice presidents and the deans. So those are the additional pages that you have before you.
Do we need a motion to
Dr. Gonzalez, I
consider
have
an
a
act
question.
on salary increases?
I have a question on there. So like for the faculty, they have like 3 different incomes on there. They have their salary, and then they gonna get the Christmas bonus, and then they also get a years of service bonus, right? So there's 3 different.
Right. So when you look at if you start on the left side, and it starts with if the faculty holds a bachelor's, a master's, or a doctor's degree, that's kind of the first And then the next salary range, those are the straight pay scales, 9 months between 45, 49 for a bachelor's, 50 and 65 for a master's, 55, 67 for a doctorate. Again, that's the very basic core. However, once they're here 5 years, they get an automatic 750. If they're here 10 years, they get 1250. And that 1250 is not just for that year. It's for every year after that. So they pile on.
Oh, okay.
So it's hard to put an accurate percentage because you have some that are at 5, 6,
Right.
7, and so theirs is going to be greater, and some of them that are under that are not going to be there yet.
Exactly.
So, but that's how that works. So a faculty member that has been here 20 years at a master's level are getting $5,000 on top of that.
Okay.
$1,250 for every 5 years cumulative.
That's the way we've always done it, though.
We've always done it that way. We changed the amounts when we did the upgrade to our pay scales.
Right, a couple of years ago.
And then on top of that, if they teach more than their load, then it's $2,750 a course.
They can potentially, there'd be 4 mechanisms of reimbursement for them, right?
Correct.
With that.
And,
Okay.
and that we raised that, almost double it. When we did the pay scale, we doubled that from $1,300 to $2,750.
And that's just the way we're doing it, the way we've always done it. pretty
Correct.
much. So like on the allied health faculty, I noticed too that there are also 4 income potentials too, right? They have their salary, they have the proposed bonus, and they have the
Years of
years of service. And then on top of that, the stipends.
That's a stipend. That's what we have to pay to hire somebody to teach in those specific programs. Above, instead of keep messing with the scale, we just said, you know what, we need to put a stipend on it, and that way
That's a
we
set amount.
it's a set amount, and obviously it's harder to find an MSN to teach in the RN program, so we stipend that 10,000 above whatever salary scale they're on.
And that's the way we've always done it.
Well, we've done it that way for at least 15 years.
And also, Mr. Marino, I did a quick calculation on the master's level for the 50 to 65,000 with the proposed step increase, with the Christmas bonus, with the 1250. That one person would be either at a 5 or a 6.5% increase.
Yeah.
And on the allied health faculty, the MSN, the same calculation between the minimum and the maximum, an average of 6.87, so almost 7% on the MSN when you calculate all the additional increments.
And who's considered our professional staff? Who does that entail?
Professional staff would be, there's criteria for professional staff. They have specific training. It would basically be anybody that's non-clerical or maintenance, daycare, food service. That would be your directors, your
Like all of our financial aid folks, outside of the director, our outreach folks, our student success coaches.
Most of those have a bachelor's of some sort, correct?
Right, or a master's.
Okay.
and then also some of it depends on your supervisory level.
And the group 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a detail that says, just because, say you have a doctorate,
Mhm.
but the position is a group 1 position, we're not going to pay you as a doctorate, we're going to pay you as a group 1. And those groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, they get progressively bigger, and the responsibility and the degree of independence, judgment, and also 3 and 4 are generally your directors. Your group 3 direct smaller departments, your group 4 direct bigger departments. So that's kind of how that works.
So like on the maintenance, the maintenance staff and housekeeping are lumped together? Is that
Yes.
Maintenance and so on group 4, we have an increase of 11% where everybody else, why do we have an 11% increase in that group 4 for the maintenance staff?
So that, it's how the scale is. So group 4 is all of your skilled, like your plumber, your electrician that have a license to practice in a certain.
Electrician, plumbers,
Or directors, skilled level
Director.
leaders of the whole organization. Yes, sir. like our maintenance director is at level 4.
So those people are gonna get 11%?
That's an average, and that one, the president questioned it too, and I went back to
Where do
check
you
my
see
calculation.
11%?
What I had to do is just kind of
Oh,
go
here
with
it is.
medium and then apply it the same. So in other words, if we're proposing 2 steps, I went on every level from a 4 to a 6. And it just so happened that group in that range, it was just a big bump. So it skewed the schedule a little bit, but that's just an average. They're not all going to get that. It just, for that particular position, from a 4 to a 6, it ended up being a large percent.
It has to do with the range from
Right.
the bottom to the top of the range. You know, the smaller groups, the lower groups, you're looking at a quarter to 50 cents increase a year. In the skilled group, you're looking to $1 increase per year, más o menos. Because, you know, $4,000 increase, which is 2 steps. So 1 step would be 2,000. There's roughly 2,080 hours in a year. So it about an hour, $1 an hour increase there.
And on the salaries that, you had mentioned something about administration getting a 5% increase. Was that including the Christmas bonus?
That was not
No.
including the Christmas bonus.
That is including the Christmas bonus?
It is not.
It is not.
Not.
They will get 5% plus the Christmas bonus.
Yeah.
So what would,
Which it'll bump it to about 6. I mean,
6%?
1,000 on an average of 100,000. Yeah. A little bit less than 1%.
We need a motion.
Yes, sir.
We need a motion to act on the salary increases.
I move.
It's been made and seconded to accept the
Yep.
salary increase recommendation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have an item on the agenda to consider an act on Chittum Tech expansion, RFP.
Yes, sir. Derek will present that for us.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time. Item 11 is the HVAC building at the Chittum campus. The board granted us permission in December of 2024 to go out and start researching.
Hang on. At your table, you'll have the actual packet with the RFP recommendation and a detail of what it is that we're
Yes.
proposing. Because at the time the packets were out, we hadn't received all the bids yet. So it's in the folder that was at your desk. Looks like this.
So in December of the board meeting, you granted the college permission to go seek RFPs and what it would take, what it would cost us to build an HVAC Chittum on the Chittum campus, what it would be to build welding, construction science, and power line on the Del Rio campus. So what we ended up doing was we met several times with faculty, division chairs, and the architect, and we sat down and we had a process of going through some of the needs and some of the wants. We were able to decide as a committee with the architect in there, and he came up with a plan. So with that plan, I'll share with you the location in that board packet. If you look at, it says the site plan to the far left. If you turn it counterclockwise, to the far left is Highway 277, and this is on the Chittum campus. And in the diagram there, you'll see at the bottom of the page is the existing buildings. As Dr. Gonzalez was mentioning, the trucks that go through there, that is that vacant parking lot that we were able to use. It's next to, even further north of that is an existing building. So we were able to ask the architect to make a drawing and design some things. We sent out, according to and by the way, Ms. Dana Garza is in here. She's our purchasing agent, and she kind of held all the purchasing items all together for us. So Dana shares with it, there was 18 different bid packets that went out for competition on these projects. Now, for the Del Rio campus, we were very fortunate to receive 3 of them. J&J Construction, and that's on the final page. It's highlighted in yellow.
Let's do the Eagle Pass one first.
Okay. Yes, sir. The HVAC and Eagle Pass, J&J Construction, JP Sanchez Construction, and Frontera Construction. So they all bidded for that. Included in the packet that you have is the recommendation from the architect. The architect, Davis Powell, recommends JP Sanchez Construction.
The architect made the recommendation? or-
So thank you so very much for that. The committee was made up of the architect, our maintenance director, Al Salinas, Idema Garcia, our business director, Armando Mondegron, the Dean of Applied Sciences, Mr. Carlos Lopez, the Applied Science Division Chair, and Dana Garza was the mediator of that committee. Now, to be in more detail, how they chose them, there was a scoring sheet that was given to each committee member. In the scoring sheet, there was information on they were graded on different categories. And one was the required information that they had, cover letter, insurance packages. The second was qualifications of experience. The third item was the public sector experience. Another item was the managerial and staff capabilities. Another item was the studied methodologies of how they were going to go about and do this. The reference checks, professionalism, and of course the company's cost and time proposal. So each bid was graded by this exact same scale applied to every bid that came in. And when we look at the HVAC, we feel that JP Sanchez scored the best, and therefore it's our recommendation to go with JP Sanchez.
And they are the lowest RFP.
And the RFP,
They are the lowest dollar for the project.
yes, sir.
What I handed out to you is, you heard me talk about the different pockets of money. And we have $4 million to do these 2 projects. If you add them together, it's 4.8 million. So it's 800,000 over. At this point, we can value engineer and make the building smaller, reduce, do that. What I propose is let's use some of that bond money and do the building as they need to do. We value engineered the Briscoe building over here. It originally had that drive in the front. We didn't have the money to do it, so we had to cut that drive out. That's part of our payment, is to put that drive back in. But since we have the money, I believe that it would be in our best interest to go ahead and approve, even though the 4 million that we've allocated for this is not sufficient. Costs are going to continue to go up, and they've gone up since we proposed this to when we actually got the RFPs back because of tariffs and all kinds of stuff. So I just wanted to call that out to your attention, that it is over, but I propose that we backfill that with 800,000 from the bond and build the buildings as we need them, as the faculty determined that would suit the programs, and not shortchange ourselves. If we didn't have the bond money, obviously we would have to value engineer, downsize the buildings. You look at the original buildings at the Chittum campus for diesel and welding. They were reduced in size to stay within budget. And then we had to come back, 10 years later and expand them. So since we have the ability, that's my recommendation. I just wanted you to make you aware before you make a decision on it. Mr. Board Chair, it's our recommendation that the board approve JP Sanchez for the HVAC program at the Eagle Pass Chittum campus.
I'll make a motion to approve that recommendation.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the act on the Chittum campus expansion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is consider an act on Del Rio Tech expansion. RF.
Again, this began in December. The same process was held, the same committee, the same scoring card was done for every submission. In your packet, there should be a diagram of the Del Rio campus. And if you turn it again counterclockwise, you will be on the east side looking west. And the existing buildings that we have are portables out there, and you'll see that on the right-hand side where the cars are parked. And so from that, excuse me, if you look to the left or to the south, there is a 12,700 square foot building, and that would be designated for the welding and construction science. You'll see that they also have a material or a caliche yard in the back. And on the far right, you'll see where we will be placing a lineman pad for the Power Line Tech program. So that's what the footprint would look like in Del Rio. As Dr. Gonzalez mentioned, being able to establish that footprint in Del Rio would be a worthy cause.
Y'all use, I guess, the same methodology to pick the.
That is correct. With the same committee, same scoring sheet is how we did them.
The main difference between this project and the Eagle Pass project is the Eagle Pass project, we had to build in classrooms to house those programs. In this program, both the classroom for the welding and the construction science will be in the portables or in the former Saul Ross buildings that are just on the other side of this parking lot. And it's higher because we're doing a welding shop and that has a lot of electrical in it. So it's all those electrical.
The vents and all that.
Yes, that's what's driving up the cost. There's a lot.
And the
detail.
welding booths and everything in there. And single phase, three phase, all that was taken into account for.
How's the ground? Pretty even back there?
That part is fairly level. As you go further west, it tapers down.
We're gonna have to build it up and all that?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so. That was pretty, if you had to pick a good site, it was pretty flat. That was where we were headed. Yes. And again, we saved money by using the parking lot. If you can see behind there, the cars are to the right, and to the left behind buildings M and N, there's a little vacancy. So we did not have to build a parking lot as we had to at the Chittum campus. At the Chittum campus for the HVAC, we built a parking lot. Here, we already had an existing parking lot, and we also had existing classrooms.
How many portable buildings do we have there that we can use?
So what's going to happen in the portable
Five.
buildings?
5.
Yep.
Those are empty now?
Are they empty now? No, we're moving AEL. That's in part of them. We're moving them to the M building, which is the old Saul Ross building. And then aviation is going to the new hangar.
Oh,
We're gonna have a classroom there, so they're in another building and a half. So that's gonna free up enough space for this. And then the other one is our cafeteria / rec snack bar.
Do we need a motion to accept the Del Rio Tech extension?
I'll go ahead and move. I move that we approve it.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
To which contract?
Our recommendation is Frontera.
Second,
Hey, what I do is,
second.
Motion's been made and seconded to
I'll
accept
second.
bids on the Del Rio Tech expansion. Do I hear? We need a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. On the agenda is to consider an act on paving RFP. 13 in your packet.
So, thank you, Dr. Watkins. So again, I'll reiterate, the process was the same. We sent out bid packets. We received them. Once we received them, the committee was established. The committee had a scoring sheet, and we did this paving project the same way. One of the differences is, as Dr. Gonzalez was mentioning, the funding is where it's coming from. That's the only difference from items 11 and 12. So 13 is from a different pocket. That was the bonds project that we had approved. So in this parking paving construction, we were able to identify 3 major parking lot areas on the Uvalde campus. One of them would be the student parking that is up on the north end of the campus where the students park. When it rains, if you've been there past the rain, you'll know that that's a lake, and it desperately needed some help. The other one was the maintenance parking lot, and we're damaging our own vehicles back in there, and that was on a list of to do 7-10 years ago, and so we're excited about getting that one. And obviously, the major project here is in front of the Briscoe building. We were able to utilize the whole A wing. We're having thoughts about using more of the B wing, and the B wing of the Briscoe building has a surgical tech program, and we were using the auditorium more and more. A workforce is in there as well, and just more and more traffic. And so we're looking at that being a really nice place to add the parking lot. That's on the Uvalde campus. If you go to the Eagle Pass campus, you'll notice that on their far west end, if to the left of the administration building, that parking lot is done as well. That is the little drawing at the top left where it says the main campus on Eagle Pass. So that's another sizable parking lot that we'll be able to address.
Is that on the far west side?
That is the far
Where the
west side.
cliff is?
Right prior to the cliff.
Okay.
That's correct.
Where the cliff-
All these parking areas are already losing big chunks of asphalt. There's cracks and losing a lot of the integrity of the asphalt.
Derek, on the one up here, the student parking lot?
Yes, sir.
On the west side, that one floods quite a bit. Are they going to build it up some?
And they're going to strategize by building it up and sloping it back out. If you know, the drain runs like across to
Mhm.
Airport Boulevard and heads out back south behind the airport. So that's the concept of it, to get most of that
They're
out
going to
that
try
way.
and get some drainage.
That's
in there.
correct. Yes, sir.
Notice it, yeah, when it rains.
How much buildup is it going to need?
I'm sorry?
How much buildup is it going to need?
No, I don't know exactly, Dr. Watkins, but I do know that they will look at it.
That's in the bid, they're gonna,
That's
or
correct.
it's in the bid to do all the
That's correct.
base work.
And the bids that we got, we had 2 bids, DKM and Bega Paving, but Bega didn't bid on Uvalde. They just bid on Del Rio and Eagle Pass.
Mm.
So in that comparison sheet, you can see even the total. I mean, we broke down DKM by campus just so we could be able to compare with Bega Paving, and DKM for Eagle Pass was 195,000. Bega was 196,000, and then DKM for Del Rio was 91,000, and Bega was 134. That's on the second page behind the recommendation. So overall, the best value and the recommendation is with the DKM to do the paving.
And on the president's house, what do we have there? Asphalt right now?
Asphalt is recoated.
It's,
Interesting enough, the paving project will take 35 days from start to finish. I asked if that was just one campus and they said, no, the whole project. Barring weather, but 35 days, that's pretty quick. That's pretty quick.
So Derek, I walked around the campus yesterday and saw that the one that goes around needs a lot of work too. When do we have that in the schedule? That's
So I'll answer that. The proposal was to do a lot of parking. But we hit the major areas. As we go through that list that I handed you here, the bond projects, as we go through, we'll prioritize and see, we have some roofs in Eagle Pass that need to be addressed. We had the major rain last week, 3 buildings that leaked sufficiently. So we're gonna have to, prioritize this list, and then, do what we can. I mean, $10 million seems like a lot, but it only gets you so far. So we can certainly, repave everything, but we're trying to hit the ones that are, they're losing chunks, there's cracks, and it's already deteriorated. It needs at a minimum a seal coat, because we're gonna lose them. Like we've lost the student parking in the front. That one probably needed to be done 10 years ago. And now they're gonna have to fix it. They can't seal coat it. They're gonna have to go down and repair
all the way down to the base.
the base, and that's included here. But if we can get it right, seal coat it before it gets to damage the base, then that's the way to go.
I'll make a motion to go forward and accept the recommended contract.
DKM.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded to accept the paving bids to DKM. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is to consider an act on localized policy manual update 49 and changes to policy DC regulation.
Yes, sir. So item number 14, the TASB update. I went through it. I didn't see anything major changing, other than they're moving the location of a lot of the B policies into a new area. Again, the legal is just making you aware of the new legal. The board doesn't have to approve legal. It's the local, and they've made recommendations to align the local. And then our HR, Ms. Doobie, she's here, went through our DC regulations and updated that for us as well. And that's the second part of that policy DC.
And these local are basically also the officers and descriptions and
Yes.
duties and all that for us, right?
Correct. And like, for example, the BCAB local, the description says content of this policy has been moved to policy BCA as part of a reorganization. They didn't change the policy, they just changed where it's located at. So it's our recommendation that the board adopts the localized policy manual as well as the changes to DC regulation.
Need a motion to accept the faculty
Did you do that?
policy manual update.
I so move.
Elena, who second?
Made
Second.
and seconded to accept the localized policy manual update 49 and changes to policy DC regulation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is to consider an act on faculty handbook changes.
Yes, sir. We're going to ask the board, we're going to have to table that until our next board meeting. We thought we would have it done, but it's not.
Motion tabled. Next, we consider an act on June and July 25 board meeting dates.
Yes, sir. So I had two contingency. Obviously, the June 19th is when I'm scheduled to be in Casper supporting our rodeo team. And we had looked at two potential dates, either June 12th or July 10th, and combining the June and July. Leaning to June 12th if we had to rework our RFPs and do some of that. But since they came in and they were acceptable, my suggestion is that we combine the June and July meeting to July the 10th and just have one meeting, if that is suitable to the board.
It's fine. There's no deadlines or anything.
No, so we got the budget approved, we got the salary approved, so they can start working on all the paperwork, the contracts, the salary sheets. We got the bids, RFPs approved, so I think we're good. I mean, insurance, July 10th will work. Yeah, so we put an RFP out for our insurance. Remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago? 3 years ago, TASB put us in a bind and said they were going to not renew us at the end of July, gave us very little time. So that contract, initial contract is up. We put it out for bid, so at the July meeting, we'll have that, those RFPs for the board's consideration. So then for item 16, I would propose July 10th as our next board meeting.
We need a motion to combine the two meetings to the July
Combine.
10th date.
Nita made the motion.
Shackelford,
Motion
Move.
made.
who second?
Who seconded?
She did.
Nita seconded. It's been moved and seconded to
First.
Who made the motion?
June and July meetings to July 10th.
Nita made the motion. We need a second.
I'll second.
Ms. Lauda.
You made the motion.
I know, I started and then
Just asking.
We're good. Ms. Shackelford and Ms. Lauda seconded.
Okay.
out the lady.
So the motion's been made and seconded to combine the June and July board meetings
I missed that one.
to July the 10th.
Yeah, I got that one.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No.
Motion carried.
That gets in front of you.
This item on the agenda is to consider personnel matters. The board will convene in closed session in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551072, 551074, to consider employment-related matters and a lease.
Dana.
All right.
See you later.
Forgot what I said, but thank God, I can't wait for Friday.
We will reconvene in open session to consider an act on the lease agreement.
Yes, sir. It's our recommendation that the board approve the lease with Hondo, the city of Hondo for the STRTC at the rate of $4,117.07 per month. And also approve the hangar lease with the city of Uvalde at a rate of
I make a motion
2874.
28 cents.
to approve.
Go
the
ahead and make a motion
recommendation.
that we go ahead and approve both leases.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second to accept the two lease agreements. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there any further business?
No.
Before we adjourn, we want to honor the memory of Carlos Salazar with the closing of our meeting tonight. He was a young man who was killed in an automobile accident approximately, a month ago. He's in our diesel mechanics and welding programs. They had a little service for him today over at the building. We want to conclude our meeting in honor of our lost citizen, our lost student. Any further business?
I think we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A motion been made and seconded that we adjourn in honor of Carlos Salazar. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We're therefore adjourned. Thank you all for coming.